Hi, everybody. I'm Melinda Emerson, the Small Biz Lady, America's #1 small business expert. And I'm so excited to welcome you to another episode of the Small Biz Chat podcast. Now, today's show is really amazing. We're going to be talking about how to drive more revenue from your website. We're also going to talk about how to tackle that content beast that's weighing so many of you down. And if you want to know how to attract target customers to you, we have an expert here who's going to talk about how to develop that killer pitch. Now, if you're looking for ways to grow your sales online, you are in the right place. My expert has tools to boost your sales and we're also going to talk about if you struggle with content, if you dread content, we're going to give you some information that's going to help you think about it the right way and be able to develop content that is relevant and valuable, and most importantly, attracts your target customer. Now, how many of you know that you need different pitches about your business for different situations? Well, we have the killer pitch master in the house, and she's going to be breaking it down for us about first of all, what makes a good pitch and how many different pitches every small business owner should have. Now, here on the Small Biz Chat podcast, we talk about how to start and grow a successful small business. And my guests have valuable insight to share. And you're going to hear their advice because they are from all different walks of life and stages of business, but all of them are pure experts in their field. Now, here at the Small Biz Chat podcast, we are a peer-to-peer mentoring program. Our mission at the Small Biz Chat podcast is to end small business failure. And we just want you to get invaluable advice that you do not have to pay for. Now, today's guests are revenue generator and web expert Kendra Lee. We have Geoffrey Klein, author of the new book, The Content Beast, and the killer pitch master herself, Precious L. Williams, is here, and she's going to teach all of us how to develop that powerful pitch. Now it's time for me to get started with our interviews. Now, my guest today is Kendra Lee. She is an author, speaker, and revenue generator. She is the founder of KLA Group, a sales consultancy and marketing agency that helps small and medium businesses get seen, get heard, and get traction to achieve their dreams. She's also the author of The Sales Magnet. And for more information, you can go to klagroup.com. Kendra, welcome to the Small Biz Chat podcast.
Well, thank you for having me, Melinda.
Now tell us, how did you become the web guru, like the web sales guru? I want to hear your backstory.
Oh my gosh. I never in a million years thought that I would be doing marketing and sales because I started my career in accounting. However, I knew that there was something more exciting out there. And I had a colleague who said, oh, you know what? You should be in sales. And that started my whole career. When I went into sales, I discovered I really like new business. I like meeting all these new people and talking with them. And even more, I like working with small companies. And that's what led me down the path to sales and marketing.
Love it. Love it. So let's talk websites first. What is the biggest mistakes that people make when building a website?
I think the biggest mistake, I'm going to give you a couple of them. One is focusing only on themselves and not really thinking about who is it that is coming to the site. So all your content is about you, but not from the perspective of what your audience cares about. And it really needs to be about the target market. A second mistake that they tend to make is that when somebody gets there, there's nothing for them to do. There's nothing for them to download. There's just call me or email me, but there are no other assets. There's no content for them to read. So they don't really get to know, like, and trust you. Instead, you're thinking, oh, just sign up, call me, we'll help you. But you haven't done anything to earn that trust.
Wow. And now let's talk about SEO, because SEO is one of these, I don't know, kabuki words that people have been using. Like there's all these snake oil salesmen out here that sell SEO, promising to get you on the first page of Google, right? But
Yeah.
I do know that SEO is important. But can you explain to us how SEO works in concert with your content, right? Because there's on-site SEO and there's off-site SEO. But I really kind of want to talk about the SEO that you can kind of do yourself before you engage professionals to do.
Okay. So SEO, for all of you that don't know, is when the search engines will serve you up when somebody goes and puts in the Google line a request. So they're searching for something. And if you have strong search engine optimization, then your goal is to be on that first page where people will find you. Content is one of the key ways to build your authority and your level of search engine credibility. When you're writing your content, core things that you need to do are to be using keywords that people would search. So you want to think about when they sit down to search for your services or the problems that they have, what are the words that they're using? How are they describing it? You use those keywords in the content that you are writing. As it relates to your website, there are places that you want to make sure that you have it. So definitely on the page when you're writing, you want to have your keywords used throughout. But it's not just there. When search engines are reading, they're not reading all the content as much as they're reading what your URL is. So what the link is, they're reading the headings of the content as well. And then they're reading the content itself. So you want to have used keywords throughout your content, as well as in the link that you're using. And when you put descriptions of text, you want keywords there, and you want keywords in the headings themselves within your content. So as you're writing, the keyword strategy is really important. Do you want me to keep going, Melinda?
No, I actually have a follow-up question to that. So you're talking about keyword strategy. So now let's talk about content strategy. Does everybody need a blog? How can you, I know we're, content is like this big hairy beast. Like if people are get overwhelmed by, steamrolled over, and and then there's people that just don't do it well, and they put up content that's just okay or mediocre or littered with typos, right? So I want to really kind of understand from you, okay, I have my keywords, I know what they are. Now, how about getting to this content? Like what is a good, robust, content mix really made of?
So you asked about blogs. When people come to your website, they're coming to learn more about you, your business, who you help, and how you help them. So you want your content to answer those questions for them, and you want it to be very, very clear. Should you have a blog? Should you not have a blog? One of the benefits of a blog, whether it's video or just text-based, is that it helps people get to know you, hear how you address the problems that they have, hear more about the problems that they have and what they should be thinking about. So a blog gives you an opportunity to continually add new content. At the same time, your web pages need to describe your services, some of the frequently asked questions that people have, how they can reach you, something about you as a company, so they can feel like they can get to know you and like you. So you have your website content as well as your blog content. Should you have a blog? Should you not have a blog? Not everybody needs one. One of the benefits is that when you have one, you're continually adding to it. And that shows Google that you're paying attention to your website. It likes that, and it will help your search engine optimization.
And I can testify to that as someone who's written over 5,000 articles about how to start and grow a successful small business. 60% of the traffic to my website is organic search for that very reason. But I've been blogging continuously since 2009, right? So that's a whole lot of blogging. But I'm glad you talked about that, because I think there are people that hate to write, right? And then you tell them, oh, you need to be blogging. And I'm like, look, if you hate to write, please don't do that. I don't want you to go through the pain of that. But I'm really glad that you talked about the stuff people want to know, who you help and how you help them and how to contact you, and some FAQs on there. Now, there was a trend that was going around on websites a couple of years ago where when you would hit the contact us page or the about us page, a little video would start playing. Now, what's your thoughts about that? Is that played out, or is that still effective?
Video is fabulous, and video is more engaging than just text. A lot of people want to press and watch a video. So from my perspective, use video wherever you can. If you don't like to write, maybe you're very comfortable going on video. So put yourself on video, create a 30-second, 1-minute video, put one on your home page, put it on your contact page, put it on your About Us page. So you can have different videos in different places. And then people really get to know you, and you can talk about the things that they care about. So I'm a very strong believer in video. I don't like having it automatically start. So our recommendation is when you put it on your website, you have the play button. So you have the option to start the video, but you don't automatically just have it start playing anymore.
Thank you for setting the record straight on that, because autoplay videos make me crazy, but I didn't know if I was like, if it was an SEO thing or something. Now, can you clear up a myth for me? There's all these people that talk about search engine rankings and algorithms. And I know, it seems like every 10 minutes, the algorithm changes, whether it's Facebook, Google, or whatever. So can you just talk about this concept of search engine ranking? Like, is it something that you can even do anything about? Is it something that you can even control? Or is it like, just keep putting quality content out there and the world will find you, you know what I mean? Or is it like tree fall in the woods and nobody heard it fall, right? I don't know, but there's so much conversation about search engine rank, search and how people can help you beat the system, and white hat and black hat stuff. And so I really want you to kind of talk about what goes into the algorithm and what could help you rank higher.
Okay. So at the very least, if you're not focused on your search engine optimization, you want to be developing your content with search engine optimization in mind. Because if you're going to write the content, why not write it in a way that it could be found? You took time to do it. You've got 5,000 articles out there. You want somebody to read them. So you want to use search engine optimization best practices. There are 3 core elements that go into search engine optimization. There's the on page, which is your content. There's off page, which are all those things that surround your website that could push people back to your website. So think you're out on social media and you link back to your website. Another organization likes an article, they link back to your website. That's the off page. And then there is the technical aspect, which says that you have a clean website. It doesn't have technical problems with it. You don't have errors on it. It is structured correctly. So those are the 3 primary elements that go into your search engine optimization. Depending what you do and where you're located and what keywords you use, it can be hard to rank, because there are other bigger behemoths out there spending hundreds of thousands of dollars every year focused on making sure they rank. So does that mean you should give up? Absolutely not. But it says that we want to use search engine optimization best practices, and we're going to focus on keywords, because our keyword strategy is important, that may not be as popular, but are still searched by our audience. So no, it's not a myth Do you spend all your time on it? No, because it's only one of many marketing strategies you should use. Should you not do it? Yes, you should do it, because if somebody's going to go do an organic search, don't you want to be found? So use the best practices for it. And when you get to a size where you can afford it, then you're probably going to use an outsourced firm, because it is pretty complex, as you talked about.
All right. Well, when we come back, we're going to talk about if you want to engage an outside SEO firm to work with your business. We're going to talk about how much you can expect to pay. You're watching the Small Biz Chat podcast, and we will be right back. Hi, I'm Melinda Emerson, Small Biz Lady, and I want to welcome you to Small Biz Lady University. Our mission here is to end small business failure. So all of the courses here are about two things: how to become your own boss, or how to make money online. So that's what we do here. So whether you want to learn about email marketing and sales funnels, or you're ready to get started with social media selling, or if you're really just getting started with e-commerce, you might want to jump into our How to Sell and Market Online course. Either way, if you want to learn how to become your own boss and do it well, I have everything you need here at smallbizladyuniversity.com. If you have any questions or have any technical problems getting signed up, just email us at support@melindaemerson.com. Take care. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Small Biz Chat podcast. I'm Melinda Emerson, Small Biz Lady, your host, and we're talking with Kendra Lee about all things websites and SEO. So, Kendra, I want to know, if I'm going to engage an SEO firm to work with my company, what should my expectations be of what the investment might be like monthly to get support?
Sure. So, of course, I can say, oh, it ranges all over everywhere. Part of it's going to depend on what they're doing for you. To net it out at the beginning, I would say expect that it's going to be somewhere between $1,500 to $2,500 at the low end. And really, it depends on how much they're doing for you. Because there are some companies, depending on how much you're having, that can go up to $5,000 and $6,000 a month. But with SEO, because content is so important, there should be a blogging element as part of that. There may be social posting that is included as part of that. But that gives you a range that you could expect.
I've seen some firms try to charge by the keyword that they work on. So if they work on 10 keywords a month, or they work on 25 keywords a month, that's what the difference is in your pricing. Is that legit or no?
It can be really challenging, and it puts a lot of pressure on the firm, because if they're doing it based only on keywords, then you as the client are going to pay attention to those keywords and look to see, are you ranking better? What you want to look at when it relates to the keywords is, what's the keyword density? And that term means, how frequently is that word searched? The more frequent the search, the higher the density, the harder to rank for it, because there's a lot of competition, because a lot of people are searching for it. So yes, I have seen the same thing, where it may be based on a number of keywords or the total overall keyword density count.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Now, let's talk about that though. So how should one measure the ROI of SEO? Because I know a lot of times when you hire a firm to work with you, they're always like, look, you're not going to see any results of this until 4 months. Like, is that true? Or, I mean, and once the 4 months hit, what are the markers we should be looking at?
Absolutely. So SEO is all about organic ranking and capturing those people who are out doing the searches. It can take, realistically, it's not 4 months. It's probably 6 months to a year. However, you can see progress every single month. So a lot of people will come to us for search engine optimization. They'll say, okay, we want to get X number of leads every single month. Well, SEO isn't about the leads as much as driving more traffic to your website. So the real metric that you're looking for is there an increase in traffic on your website? Then your content strategy picks up from there because you're driving them to the website and you want to have good calls to action throughout the site. You want to have different types of content that people can engage with. And you want some gated content where people have to register, because then you can start to see conversions. But your SEO is about getting them to the site. And then your content is about having the right things on the site so they will sign up and convert. So pay attention to traffic. You're looking for an increase in traffic.
All right. All right. And last question for you. What is the best business advice you've ever gotten?
The best business advice that I still fall back on is that when you hire someone, that you hire a person who can do more than one role. They may do only the primary thing you want them to do, but they have to be able to do other things in the event that that need for the role that you hired them for changes.
Perfect. Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Kendra. This has been so helpful. And I really think you've even enlightened me about things that people need to know about SEO. For one, that SEO should include content, not just, oh, we're working on these keywords for you. So thank you for that. And when we come back, we're going to talk about how to tackle the content beast. I'm Melinda Emerson, Small Biz Lady, and you're watching the Small Biz Chat podcast. And we'll be right back. Are you ready to become a boss? Hi, I'm Melinda Emerson, Small Biz Lady. Click the button below and take my free boss quiz. This assessment will help you learn your entrepreneur type and find the right business model for you. Get this information about the #1 asset in your business. Yeah, that's you. Welcome back to the Small Biz Chat podcast. I'm Melinda Emerson, your host. And if you're watching us on my Facebook page, please like the page and share this link. We want to make sure that all small business owners know about the great advice that you can get on the Small Biz Chat podcast. You can also watch our show on my Small Biz Lady YouTube channel. So please go over there and subscribe so that you never miss another episode of the Small Biz Chat podcast. Now it's time for me to introduce my guest, Geoffrey Klein. Geoffrey is AKA Mr. Purple. You're going to hear more about that in just a minute. He's a TEDx speaker, an adjunct professor, and visual content producer, and the author of the new book, The Content Beast: Create the Story-Driven Content to Connect with Your Audience. Geoffrey helps people and organizations communicate more effectively through the power of story. He currently serves as president and CEO of 9 Dots, a visual content company that helps businesses share their message and connect with their audience. For more information, go to 9dotsmedia.com. Geoffrey, welcome to the Small Biz Chat podcast.
Melinda, it's lovely to see you, and I am honored and feel privileged to be here.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much for being here. I really am excited. I got a chance to take a preview of your book and I know how good it is. So I'm so excited to talk to you about it. So first of all, give us your backstory. How in the world did you get the nickname Mr. Purple? My audience is like looking at you going, okay, this guy likes purple. So tell me, how did you get this name?
I'll give you the easy answer is because I wear and I'm surrounded by purple time. I've leaned in from a kind of brand perspective. I believe, in personal branding, and this is mine. There's kind of 3 reasons why I wear purple every day. I've got 9 or 10 pairs of purple shoes. I got a purple water bottle, and I knew my wife Nita finally was okay with it when we had our front door repainted a dark purple. But for me, I love the purple color. I've always liked it's my favorite color. I think I'm influenced. It was my late mother's favorite color, so I love that every day I wear it or think about it. It's kind of honoring her. And then my wife is British. I'm also dual citizen, and so purple is the color of royalty. So I like to say it's my way of honoring the monarchy.
You're the only one left that wants to honor the monarchy. Anyway, so let's talk about this. Why is content so hard for small businesses?
I think it's because it's not what they're used to doing. So whatever your business is, you're focused on doing that, whether you're an accountant or whether you're a plumber or whether you're a neurosurgeon, not neurosurgeon. And so content isn't a thing that you think about much, or you haven't done it much. And so I think there's one of the first place people is fear. They're afraid of making content because they're afraid they're going to do it wrong, or they're going to mess up, or people aren't going to watch it. And I think that stops a lot of people. You have some people who have, I like to call it the perfection trap, which is they won't put out content until it's perfect. Content will never be perfect. It just isn't the reality. And so I love the concept of imperfect action. Take action and just be bold. So I think there's an element of small businesses. Small businesses are already being courageous. By running a small business, you've already proven that you're fearless in some ways. And so I think with content, you just have to apply that same kind of fearlessness, as well as a strategy and thoughtfulness about it. Because I think there's a way to do content and there's a better way to do content. But I'd rather people be throwing that stuff at the wall and hoping something sticks than doing nothing. But sometimes, there's a lot of DIY ability, more so now than ever, to create content. And there's more distribution channels now than ever. So there's no real excuse for not creating content. And there's a lot of tips and tools and ways out there. And what I try to do is help people so that they can create the right kind of content that will actually connect with the people that matter most.
All right. So all small business owners have the same two problems: limited time and limited resources. So tell me, if that is my situation, if I'm a 1 to 3 person shop, what is your suggestion that I should use to approach a content strategy for a really small business?
I think the big part is not always about volume, but about consistency. So that if you're going to blog, you don't need to blog every week, blog every month. Make sure it's realistic. I think one of the challenges is they get overwhelmed with, oh my God, I have to create so much content all the time and all these different kinds of content. And where do I begin? Begin slow and build as you go. Now, the choice that every small business has is, are they going to do it themselves, or are they going to hire an expert to help them? And again, there's more opportunity to get, I'll call it cheap labor to start. There's tools like Canva now that enable people like me who aren't designers to create pretty awesome social media posts without having any design skills in the background. And so I think they just have to take a deep breath and then think about the approach they're going to take. So, they need a little bit of time to think before they start. And I think that can help them a lot. Having a plan before you just start ad hoc. I always joke that anyone can do content, anyone can do social media, but not everyone can do it well. And the difference between people who do it and do it well is by having some sort of plan. And you talk about content marketing strategy, about social media strategy. Strategy just means that you're thinking about it. What are you trying to achieve and how you're going to do it? It doesn't have to be complicated. And I think people, think that strategy is this big, almost, oh, I don't know anything about strategy. Of course you do. You plan things all the time, whether you're going on a trip or what you're going to have for dinner. There's some strategy in terms of, well, what do we have in the house? What do I know how to cook? And content's no different. What are you naturally good at? Whether you're a good writer, well, then maybe you should blog. If you like being in front of the camera, maybe you like the sound of your voice. And there's lots of opportunities to share things. The most important about sharing is making sure it matters to the ones you're trying to reach, your audience.
So what are some of your favorite tools? I know you threw out Canva, but what are some of your other favorite tools for, video or even podcasting that you suggest people look at?
Well, I'm a video guy. So for me, it's the best tool is your iPhone. Because while I produce video professionally, and there's we have videographers and lighting and sound, for small businesses that don't have a budget to do that, definitely unlikely to do that consistently all the time. I think there's an appropriate time for that kind of video, but don't let that stop you. The iPhone cameras are incredible. Smartphones have better cameras now than some of the early video cameras that people were using. The two keys about being able to use them effectively, you can go and for less than $100 get a good light, get a good mic, get a tripod. That's it. That's all you need, those three things. And so they're tools. You put a camera up, you have a mic, and you have good lighting, and then you have to know what you're going to say. But I'll give you a tip that is not mine, but I love it. It comes from Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary V. When he talks about content, one of the challenges that a lot of small business and entrepreneurs have is they're like, well, I got to create all this content. And you don't actually need to create that much content, because what he says to do is, rather than create, document your journey. One of the things that's really powerful is that kind of behind the scenes. So whatever's going on in your business, share it. The good, the bad, the ugly. That's how you're going to resonate with people, by being genuine about what you're doing. One of the challenges I don't like about social media is it's like everyone's showing their best self. Well, no one's life is as good as it looks on social media. That's just the reality.
Oh, you didn't know that social media is people's personal highlight reel, Geoffrey? You didn't know that? Nobody wants to get on social media and say, I was a bad mom today. My kids ate cereal for dinner. Nobody wants to say that, right? Nobody wants to say that.
But when people do, they actually perform pretty well. When people are vulnerable,
right,
people, actually like that. And there's another concept that I really like. James Rubalata, who's a fellow professional speaker. As speakers, and I think the small business owners, what we always try to do is prove that we're credible. So that's why we have to have our degrees and our names and our awards and all these things. When what people, I think, really want is someone who's relatable. And so someone who understands the challenges I'm going through. And so, and so a lot of people are like, well, don't talk about yourself so much. It's that what's in it for me. I created the 11th commandment, know thy audience. That's what matters when you're creating content, because nobody cares about what you do. I tell clients, I'm like, by the way, no one cares what you do. And they're like, what do you mean no one cares? They get all up. I said, they only care about what you can do for them.
That's it.
Because if you can't help them, if you're not serving your clients, your customers, they're going to change the channel on you, move on to something else. And we have a problem with the volume of content. So if you're not having relevant content consistently that's valuable to them, you've lost, in my opinion.
I couldn't agree with you more. Now, one of the things that I know that you develop a lot of content, a lot of video content, but what is the right way to launch a blog or a podcast or even a YouTube channel, if that's what you want to do to build your brand?
I think what it is you start with what's of value that you have to share. Who's your audience and what do they care about? And think about the ideas of what will matter to them. And have a little plan, a mini plan. We'll just call it a mini plan. That's not anything you have to get worried about. And plan and create. If you're going to create those things, whether it's YouTube channel, podcast, blog, have a good 4 or 5 in the can before you release one. Because if you have one and then go, oh my God, life gets busy, so you want to have at least and it's about having a system and a process. I think all small businesses, that's one of the, and it's a challenge for me, is to have systems and processes in place to make things run smoothly. But when you have that, if you say, okay, Thursday afternoon is blog writing time, you got to treat it like sacred time. Mm-hmm. Because if you don't protect your calendar that way, you're not going to get the things done that you want to get done. So I think it's about having a plan, being clear about who your audience is, what they care about, and then creating content around what they care about. That's related to what you do. So their problems, their pain is where you think about, and then you're like, well, how does my product or service solve that for them? That's what you want to talk about.
All right, last question before we go to break. What trends do you see in content marketing that are most relevant to small business owners right now?
The trend is been the same for a couple of years, which is video. I think that it's gaining popularity. Even as we speak, people are when I started my podcast, it was audio only. I think audio is great, but now no one says start a podcast and just keep it to audio. There's no reason. YouTube being the second largest search engine, that's where people are getting a lot of their information and interest. But I think the trend too is it's funny because I was talking to someone about who was in theater, and they were saying marketers are all talking about the power of story. We've been talking about that for a long time, and I think it's catching up to, it's caught up with marketers that, storytelling is what really resonates with people. And now it's now to kind of getting to the masses of businesses that, oh, wait, if I tell a story, people will remember it. People will connect with it. So the trend is video story. That's kind of happens to be what I'm really passionate about. So visual storytelling is the trend. Tell a story. The more you do, the better you will connect with your audience.
Thank you so much, Geoffrey. You have really given us some really helpful advice, and we will be right back on the Small Biz Chat podcast. Stay with us. Hi, I'm Melinda Emerson, Small Biz Lady, and I want to welcome you to Small Biz Lady University. Our mission here is to end small business failure. So all of the courses here are about two things: how to become your own boss, or how to make money online. So that's what we do here. So whether you want to learn about email marketing and sales funnels, or you're ready to get started with social media selling, or if you're really just getting started with e-commerce, you might want to jump into our How to Sell and Market Online course. Either way, if you want to learn how to become your own boss and do it well, I have everything you need here at smallbizladyuniversity.com. If you have any questions or have any technical problems getting signed up, just email us at support@melindaemerson.com. Take care. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Small Biz Chat podcast. I'm Melinda Emerson, Small Biz Lady, your host. Now, I want to continue our conversation with Geoffrey Klein. He's got a brand new book out called The Content Beast. All right, Geoffrey. So I want to talk to you about repurposing strategy. I am the queen of repurposing, but I want to hear about what you think is a good repurpose strategy for any one piece of content.
Yeah, I think first embrace it, because people think they have to create new content all the time, and you just simply don't. My good friend Annie Schriftman got advice from her dad, and I loved it. He was a radio legend, and the idea is to play the hits. Play the hits. So if you've done content that you spent all that time, whether it's a blog or video, whatever it is, share it again. I always like this idea that Queen, the band Queen, their best-selling album was their greatest hits. 25 million copies sold. Not one individual album. It was the one where they took all the best content and they put it together. So then my strategy is to figure out, look at what's done well and share it again. So play the hits. That's my advice.
All right. So, and you can share it in different formats, right? So if you wrote a blog post about 100%. It, you can record a podcast about it, right? That kind of stuff. All right. So how do you measure the success of your content? Because a lot of people out here churning out content, but how can we really measure that this content is moving our brand forward or really driving sales?
Well, the first thing I would say is you have to be patient. It doesn't happen overnight. You have to be consistent, and sometimes it takes some time for the audience to finally catch up with your content. And KPIs, key performance indicator, when you look at those, people are posting things and they're looking at impressions and they're looking at views, they're looking even at likes. And to me, those are not the ones you should be paying attention to. Unless you're really focused on awareness. But if you're looking at sales, there's ways to capture that when your content, whether you use this code. So there are ways to, to send them to a specific website that you can bake into your content to actually track it. But for me, there's the expression that content is king. And I always like to say, well, who's the queen? And for my money, the queen is engagement. So it's not people just clicking like, it's about, well, if they share it, if they comment, those are the kinds of things, if you're tracking those kinds of things and you're like, oh my God, this content's getting a lot more traction, that's going to lead to more sales. How many calls are you getting as a result of the call to action? What is the real measurement is the action that people take after consuming your content. That's going to drive them to make a buying decision.
I couldn't agree with you more. And Geoffrey, what is the best business advice that you've ever gotten?
I grew up, my father and grandfather at the kind of dinner table every Sunday, and it was love what you do. I think that sticks with me every day. We spend a third of our time at work, 90,000 hours as an average over our lifetime. If you aren't happy in what you're doing, go do something else. And it doesn't mean you have to quit your job. Get a side hustle and build it up. And then at some point, take that leap of faith. Well, because as someone who's worked in a business I didn't care for, and now working one that I really enjoy, it makes all the difference. It makes getting up in the morning and going to work a pleasure. And I loving what you do. That's the best advice. Find out what you love and then go do it.
I love that. I love that. Thank you so much, Geoffrey Klein, for being here with me. Don't go away, but I want you all to know that when we come back, we're going to be talking about how to develop a pitch that slays with Precious Williams. We're going to be right back in just a few seconds. Stay with us. Are you ready to become a boss? Hi, I'm Melinda Emerson, Small Biz Lady. Click the button below and take my free boss quiz. This assessment will help you learn your entrepreneur type and find the right business model for you. Get this information about the #1 asset in your business. Yeah, that's you. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Small Biz Chat podcast. I am so excited to introduce my guest, Miss Precious Williams. Her nickname is the Killer Pitch Master. She is a 13-time national elevator pitch champion. Besides helping women entrepreneurs and business leaders, she's also a top corporate sales trainer, helping sales teams to create killer communication skills, craft messages, and understand how to pitch and build sales programs. Precious is an international keynote speaker and trainer for global brands, including BMW, Google, LinkedIn, Microsoft, Harvard University, Columbia, QuickBooks, Yelp, and many more. Her website is perfectpitchgroup.com. So, Miss Precious, thank you so much for coming on the Small Biz Chat podcast.
I'm excited to be here. Let's go.
All right. Well, you got to tell me, how did you get to become the Killer Pitch Master? I want to hear the story.
So how did I become the Killer Pitch Master? Let me be clear. My back was against the wall. I was an attorney in the great state of New York, where I still am. And I had this dream of starting a lingerie company for full-figure divas and plus-size fashionistas. I was 327 pounds, dating a very famous Hollywood actor. That don't even make no sense on paper, let alone in real life. And I knew I couldn't find intimate apparel in my size. And so I had this thought, curvy girls lingerie. Asked my family and friends, because that's what they say. Everybody's got family and friends who can invest, but when you're from the inner city of St. Louis, Missouri, and you're the only one who made it out, that wasn't the case. And for those who love me, being an attorney, they were like, be safe. I said, I didn't come to New York to be safe. I came to make it big. So when nobody would invest in my company, I went all in on curvy girls. Went to an event I couldn't afford in New York City and found myself pitching before the producers of MSNBC's Your Business with J.J. Ramberg. Walked up to them and made a pitch up on the spot, and they loved it. The next thing I knew, I was pitching on Your Business with J.J. Ramberg on February 9th, 2012, right before Valentine's Day, and walked away with $500,000 in 54 seconds. So my first pitch got me on the show. My second pitch took me to the next level. And eventually, they told me, you should enter pitch competitions. Word? And so out of 14 tries, I'm a 13-time national champion. Yes, I'm still Black on both sides, no Brazilian butt lift, no six-pack abs. I don't look like Hollywood. And yes, I beat them at their own game. And that's how I became the Killer Pitch Master, slay all competition.
I love it. I love it. All right. So let's get down to the nitty-gritty. What are the elements of a great pitch?
The elements of a great pitch, once you get past your name of your company, who you are, who you serve, I don't know why I can't think of the last thing, but at this point, we all know what a basic pitch should have. But if you want to take it into killer pitch mode, the first thing I do with my clients is tell them, whatever the challenge or problem your target market is having, use their language for how they describe it, not your own. Because sometimes you'll be all over the place and they're like, I just need this. And when you say it in their language and then follow up with, you have the solution, you back it up with, facts, figures, and statistics, you can bring a testimonial or something like that. The second thing you need to do is start off with a question. Start off with something that interrupts the pattern of boring. So if you're in front of someone and you can give it your elevator pitch, start with a question, start on statistic or a quote. What you're doing is training them not to Listen to what everybody else is saying. You're the difference maker. So once you do that, you also want to play it all the way through. So as Geoffrey was saying, you definitely want to have a great story, and everybody's story is not the same. You want to set a scene in the audience's mind of where you want them to go and lead them there. And when you finally have them on the edge of their seats, tell them what to do next. So what is that call to action? And be very specific about that call to action. Whether it's on your website, because you know what's on your website is a pitch. What's on social media is a pitch. So take them all the way through, but be very clear about what you want them to do. What is your ask? Are you seeking investments? Are you seeking to be featured in media? Are you seeking whatever in particular you're seeking? Make sure that that's clear too. And so that's how you truly slay all competition, because if you just do the basics, you'll be average, random, and ordinary and sound like everybody else. That's why content is serious, but also marrying that with SEO and really taking this into overdrive.
So should every pitch end with an ask?
Should every pitch? I don't think so. I don't think every pitch should end with an ask. Just like I don't think every pitch should sound the same. Since there are 6 different types of pitching. You got your elevator, your media, your investor, your sales, your speaker, and your interview pitch. And since you're speaking to different audiences with those pitches, everyone doesn't get an ask. So if I'm pitching to investors, I'm going to have an ask. Sure. I want them dollars and cents. I want those resources. If it's media, you would love to be featured, but you have to make a compelling case for why you're so different and you have a fresh approach. If you're a speaker, how many people want you to speak for free? But it's time to get paid because you have the type of influence that can shift the atmosphere of the rooms that you're going to be in. And that should be compensated. So I don't think every pitch should have it, but you also have to understand, who are you pitching to? And that will dictate what you do.
So what are the biggest mistakes people make when pitching?
Some of the biggest mistakes that I see is that they're boring. They're just going by the book. My name, the name of my company, who I serve, da, da, da. The second thing is they have not focused on their audience. So as Geoffrey said, he talked about, when it's all about you. Number 3, bring some vitality and life to what it is. And most people don't. They're just like, I'm just gonna dial it up. The 4th thing that I see people do is you can tell they're giving up in the middle of it because they don't think anybody's gonna buy from them. They give up, and you'll see it in their social media posts. You'll see it as aggravation or all sorts of things. And believe me, people can read it in your words. They can read it in a video. They can read it when people are talking about you. So I want you to stand and deliver and really believe in yourself. Because if I had to do it at 327 pounds, I know that it can be done. And you have to be, and they want to fit in when you really should want to stand out for the right reasons. Pitch, please.
I think that is so valuable what you just said. You said that you can tell that people have given up in the middle of giving their pitch.
Mm-hmm.
That is true. And I never thought about it like that until you just said it. But I've definitely had people introduce themselves to me, and it was like their feet came up on them as they were talking. I've experienced that. So how often should you switch up your pitch or update it?
I think you're going to be in a constant state for the rest of your life. So my Shark Tank pitch is very different from what people saw in MSNBC, and that was 2012 to it was on Shark Tank season 8 in 2016. Those are very different pitches versus what I do now. And also my companies have changed. You had Curvy Girls Lingerie. So who was the focus of Curvy Girls Lingerie? I can tell you it wasn't small women who can go into Victoria's Secret. So who was I targeting and showing them? Then you have Perfect Pitches by Precious. We teach the art and science of the killer pitch, to now the Perfect Pitch Group, where we train sales teams of top Fortune 100 companies, law firms, law schools, and all of those things. Like over time, I've changed. My audience has changed, and my way of talking to them has changed. And so when I started, yes, I wanted to help women win pitch competitions. And then it was getting to institutions of higher learning, Ivy League, top HBCUs. And now the Googles, the LinkedIn's, the Microsoft, Federal Reserve Bank, all of those. And it was all able to be done because I have a track record of consistency. And if I've had success in all of them and my clients have had success, and always asking for testimonials so people can see, I'm not talking about myself. You heard what they said. Go to my LinkedIn and see those 300 testimonials, and you'll see the depth and breadth of them. So I don't have to speak for myself, but if you do want me to, I can, but let them talk for me. It's a done deal.
So, but let's say your fan club is not standing by you when you're giving a pitch,
which would happen before. Mm-hmm.
I know it's rare for you now, but let's just say your hype people aren't around you. How can you convey value or the value that you provide in a pitch? Because that's the element that I think is missing a lot of times. People talk about who they serve and the results they generate, but they don't talk about the secret sauce kind of, in the pitches. And I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about that.
Well, most definitely. So when I started pitching, I didn't sound like anybody else. And normally people are thrown off by that because they think that there's this system. And I wanted to show that there was a human, there's humanness, there's energy, there's funk, and there's noise. So you're not talking to a robot. You're not talking to someone who got everything out of a textbook. When I started pitching was 13 years ago, and they told me I was too fat, too black, no Ivy League degree. No one's ever going to listen to me. So challenging them by also challenging my mind, I know where I belong. And just because y'all can't see it, I know my target market just needs to see me. So that means what's in those social media posts, what is in the places that I'm going to, and also showing the behind the scenes. So when people think that speakers just get up there and that if you just have a story, remember your story has to match the audience. It's not every story under the sun. And if you're still in the struggle of that, you don't need to be on that stage talking to that audience because they're going to feel it. So remember, the stories have to match the audience. So what I do at LinkedIn is not something I would do keynoting a women's event. Totally different, right? And so people can see that. But in the beginning, I didn't have a cheerleading team. And I had to keep cheerleading myself and proving once and for all that when you're a visionary as a CEO, you're constantly going to be fighting with people until they're on your team. So that belief in yourself and knowing what you can do because you did it. Most of us did it for ourselves before we were able to showcase it to others. And once we were able to do that and then get the cheerlead, that's great. But most people don't start. Most people start trying to do it for themselves. They get lucky, but they also have to invest in themselves. They also have to get great coaching and training. And also don't get messed up by your own mind that only wants to hear yes. I tell you, some queens like you have pulled up on my big girl panties to say, I know you can do better than that. Since most people don't say it to me, I got to listen like, yes, ma'am. Yes, very much.
Listen, so. I only say things like that to people that are coachable.
Please believe. And I am.
I do not waste my time or effort with people who I don't think are going to hear what I have to say. So I appreciate you acknowledging me for having been just one smidge of someone that gave you some encouragement one day. But I could just keep talking to you for so long, but I have to ask you this last question. What is the best business advice that you have ever been given?
I'll give you two, but I know you said one. Fortune favors the bold. And in this world, you got to be bold and you got to defy and you got to go against the grain. And number two, shoot for the moon. And if you don't make it, you'll fall among the stars.
I love that. Thank you so much, Precious. You are just such a gem. And I appreciate so many things about you, but you give killer advice. So thank you so much for being here. And right now, what I want to do is bring back our other two guests. I want to bring back Miss Kendra Lee from the KLA Group and author Geoffrey Klein of the new book, The Content Beast. And so what we're going to do now is a quick panel that I like to call Hit It and Quit It. And the reason why is because I'm going to ask all of you the same question. You only have 30 seconds to answer, and you cannot copy someone else's answer. If someone steals your answer, you got to come with something else. All right? Think fast on your feet. So Kendra, since you have been on ice the longest, I'm going to come to you first, then you, Geoffrey, and then you, Precious. So my very first question is, what is your favorite podcast? What is your favorite podcast?
Actually, it is Dave Ramsey's podcast on, and I don't even remember what it's called, but on saving money.
Okay. I thought you were going to say his Entre Leadership podcast, but you listened to his original
His
podcast.
traditional one, yes.
Okay. All right. I'll take that. Geoffrey, what is your favorite podcast?
There's so many good ones, but I'll go with the one NPR's How I Built This with Guy Raz.
I like that one too. I
Yeah,
listened to that as well. I love it. All right, Precious, what is your favorite podcast?
True crime.
Ooh.
Listen, all we deal was with business all the time. I need something. Listen, some little girl watch A&E, and baby, when I tell you Bill Curtis was on it, so I'm all about the true crime and letting my brain just chill and listen to the latest crime.
I love it. I love it. All right. So next question. This was going to come to you, Geoffrey, first, then you, Precious, then you, Kendra. What is your favorite business app? Favorite business app?
Asana, which is a project management tool. It helps me keep my team doing what they need to do, and it's a great way to have everything in one place. There are other ones, but Asana for me is the one I choose.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Precious, what's your favorite business app?
Man, I feel so boring, but Google Calendar.
Listen, no, that's real. That's real. I have an app that works with Google Calendar called Mixmax. It's actually my favorite one. And Kendra, what is your favorite business app?
Mine is HubSpot, so that I can manage all of the different prospects and the email campaigns. It manages my email for me. All the emails go in, and I don't have to worry about sorting through my inbox.
Love it, love it, love it. All right, now here's my third question. Precious, you're first this time, then you, Kendra, then Geoffrey.
Ooh.
What is your favorite old school marketing tip?
Meet people in real life. Get on that stage live. Meet them in real life. It makes the biggest difference. I can't text you and get you on. No, I'm going to meet you in real life. It makes a difference.
I love
you
it.
become human and real, and they want you.
Yes, yes, yes. All right. Kendra, what is your favorite old school marketing tip?
Be consistent and follow up. It's all about the consistency. They may not be ready right now, but the more consistent that you are, and if you're following up with them, then when they are ready, you'll be there.
Yes, your fortune is in the follow-up. That is absolutely true. And Geoffrey, what is your favorite old school marketing tip?
Don't be afraid to ask.
Come
a lot of us wait. We need help, or we want something, or whatever it is. Yeah. And we don't just simply ask for what we want.
I agree with you. I agree with you. All right, last question. Kendra, you're first, then you, Geoffrey, then you, Precious. What is the best business book you have ever read?
I'm going with the one that's really making a difference for me right now, and it's called Fix This Next by Mike Michalowicz.
Mike Michalowicz. Yes, he's my college classmate. I've known him for forever. Yeah, it's a great book.
I thought for sure I knew exactly what we needed to focus on to grow our business to the next level. I went through it, and it's like, oh my gosh, I have to make a complete shift, believe it or not, in our messaging.
Ooh, interesting.
Oh, who would have thought? It's what we do. But as I read it, it's like, I'm saying the exact wrong thing for our audience, Precious.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. All right, Geoffrey, best business book you ever read?
If I say it really quickly, can I include 3?
You can say 1.
So, I got, this is the book that I always wish I had written. So I'll go with that one, which is Story Brand by Donald Miller.
Yeah.
It just speaks to what I believe is the way businesses need to approach their communication.
I 100% agree with you. And Precious, what is your favorite business book?
The Ultimate Sales Machine. And for some reason, I can't think of the author's name, but the Ultimate Sales Machine.
He's the guy that, what? What is his name? I know he's been on my show. I know who wrote that.
I'm telling you, that book was a game changer.
I know who wrote that book, and I've got it here on the shelf, and I can't think of who wrote it. All right, but it's a good book, though. It's a great book. And I will share the book that I'm loving on right now, because I change mine all the time. But 10X is Easier Than 2X by Dan Sullivan. is a book that has changed my life and it has changed my business. I love it. I can't wait to have him on the show. That book is amazing. Absolutely amazing. And basically he says, and if you're not doing impossible things, you're not really operating in your purpose for your business. It is it is an incredible book, I can't say enough about it. But thank you all so much for being my guest. Kendra Lee, author of and revenue generator, the KLA Group.com. Geoffrey Klein, please be sure to grab a copy of his brand new book, The Content Beast, and the Killer Pitch Master, Precious Williams. Check out her website, pitchperfectgroup.com.
And I got 5 books too.
She got lots of resources on her website. Go to her website. And thank you all for joining me on this episode of the Small Biz Chat podcast. If you're an author, speaker, coach, or consultant, it's not too late for you to join me in Philadelphia for Brand in Demand Live. Head over to my website, smallbizladyuniversity.com/Brand in Demand Live, and join us in Philadelphia September 21st, 22nd, and 23rd. And I will leave you all with this. You never lose in business. Either you win or you learn. God bless everybody.